Further waiting, please welcome André Ménard, co-founder and artistic director of the Montreal International Jazz Fest, and the star of our opening night, Brian Setzer.
Bonjour. Merci. L'année dernière, quand on est entré dans cette pièce pour la première conférence de presse avec Stevie Wonder, je vous ai demandé est-ce qu'on a l'air de bonne humeur. Je pense que je n'ai même pas besoin de vous demander ça cette année. It's a great, great privilege to host this first press conference of the 31st Montreal International Jazz Festival, Festival international de jazz de Montréal, especially since we're going to have tonight featured on the big TD stage, the new sponsor, an artist that we've had the honor to host before the festival, but in many, many circumstances since 1994, the year that he founded the Brian Setzer Orchestra, I think. Anyways, it was magical back in that year, even if we had not exactly done what we wanted. We wanted him to headline the main event at the festival that year, but a picture of him dating back from the days in the Stray Cats had scared the police chief of Montreal. And he had asked the people in charge of the festival, maybe you should not have that kind of artist on your stage. And I think it was a big mistake. I still think it was a big mistake. But we had to repair into the spectrum for 2 nights that really created magic as well. And the rest is history. He returned a year after that. We did a big TV shoot that day. And then in 1998 at the Metropolis. And then last year, after a long absence from our stages, he returned. And the show was so crazy at Les Arts that some members of the press, whom I think some of you are here, said it would be ideal to see that kind of performance under the stars. So tonight, this becomes reality. It's been a dream of ours for that many years, and it's great that finally we're here and we're doing it tonight. Obviously, Brian Setzer is world-renowned as a big innovator. He's reinvented 2 styles of music in his short career. How many years have you been?
30, let me see, 80, 90, 2000, 30 years. 30 professional years, I would say.
Well,
30 professional years.
That's a lot. Well, 30 is just like the Jazz Festival then. He's been rewarded with 3 Grammy Awards. He's been nominated 10 times. He's been in movies. He's been all over the world. And it's really a privilege, like I said, that tonight, finally, we get to see you here playing the big stage at the festival. Oh. You're topping the bill, sir.
It's an honor. Thank you. I'm turning red.
Yeah. When I said you reinvented music styles, it's true that you brought at the forefront in the 80s rockabilly music that people thought was like a piece of museum, and then you made it a hot contemporary music style. And then single-handedly in the 90s, when you created this orchestra, you kept your rockabilly values, and then with the backing of a big band, jazz-style big band, you created, I think, you kind of crystallized the whole return of swing music at the forefront of popular music as well. So, is there a musical style that you'd like to revive in this way? Another one?
I just do really what I like to do. Yeah. I don't really think about reviving musical styles. I love the sounds of music that comes from the blues. Mm-hmm. I love jazz. I love country, swing, rock and roll, rockabilly. To me, it all comes from the blues. And in my way of thinking, there's no reason why you can't take all these kinds of music and blend them together. Mm-hmm. which is kind of how I always thought. And I never consciously thought of blending them. It just kind of happens in my head, and it comes out of my hands that way.
Yeah. In the first place, you were known for performing those miracles with a very minimal format band, like very simple drum, acoustic bass, and yourself on guitar. And then you went totally the opposite, fronting a huge band. Did you find any constraint or at some point, did you find that the big band was limiting you to a certain performance, or you kept stretching even though it was a very different story on stage with all these guys behind you?
I always do things in extremes. It seemed to go from 3-piece to 18-piece to sometimes playing alone. No, I always play the same style of guitar, and one day I had the idea to write a big band, to have a big band behind the Stray Cats. And to me, I thought to myself, why wouldn't this work? Because it's all the same music.
Yeah.
It's true the big band is much more jazz-oriented, so when those guys are playing those chords, you got to be aware of what's going past you. But to me, I play the same style of guitar in that format, in any format. It's still me, if it's with 3 people or 18 people.
But the surprise for many people that didn't know you too well was that you also arranged for the big band.
Yes, I learned how to read and write music at a young age. So my first arrangement, I think, was a song called "Good Rockin' Daddy" by Etta James. I listen to it now, and it was the beginning. And I started with the trombone player in the band. His name was Mark Jones. And really, arrangement, if you can read and write music, is just about hearing these parts and putting together a puzzle. Hearing the saxophones, arranging for the saxophones, hearing the trombones, and then hearing the trumpets, and making it all fit together like a puzzle.
Great. I think we'll go with the questions from our distinguished audience. If
Okay. Whoops,
mind.
the mic, yeah.
Who's on first, like they say in baseball?
I'll start, I'll go and meet Abe after. Hi. Abe from CGAD. Where are you? In the back? Okay. Hi, Abe.
Hi, Brian, right here.
Hi.
Welcome back to Montreal.
Thank you.
This CD, the Ultimate Collection, is 2 discs, as you would know. The first one recorded in the mid-'90s at Montreal at the Jazz Festival, and the title of the disc is I Think We're Onto Something. Take us back to '94, if you could, which made you, in your mind, believe that you were onto something, and maybe in 30 words or less, take us to the point you are at today as you, again, get set to entertain Montrealers.
That first Montreal show was magic, because we really had something to prove. And if we didn't prove it, the band would fall apart because it was so big. But I knew that it was something musically that had not been done before. There had not been a guitar leading a big band, because the big band era died and rock and roll was born, so the two never got to meet. So 95, that was a special show. And where it's led now is, there's no one more surprised than I am that you could take 18 people out and still play and still have it fly, So I guess I'm just kind of lucky that I'm still here and that people really got it.
Can I ask you one more question? How did you learn to play the guitar like that?
Well, I started playing guitar when I was 8 years old, and luckily my parents didn't have a lot of money. They were broke, and they found a guitar player in the Yellow Pages, and he was an old Italian gentleman. And thank God I got him, because he would do things today that no one would do. He would pick me up from my Little League game and sit there and wait. And I remember that. And he really took his time and showed me how to play the guitar and how to read and write music. And then, of course, I was influenced by all these people growing up. As a young boy, probably bands like the Allman Brothers and Creedence Clearwater Revival. And then one day I was listening to a Beatles record, and my dad came in and started singing along with Honey Don't. And I said, how do you know? How come you say you will when you won't? And he was singing along with it. He goes, this is by a guy named Carl Perkins. I don't know who the Beatles are, but it's by a guy named Carl Perkins. And then I had realized all the Beatles and Stones, Rolling Stones records, the first ones, were rockabilly songs. So that's how I really got my vision of what I was.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anna from CBC Television.
Hello.
Hi. I'm wondering how you're approaching your show tonight. You're going to be performing in front of, say, 100, 200,000 people outdoors?
You're making me even more nervous. I just try and go up there and lose myself in the music, Really, you can hear all those people, but you can't see them because there's so many. You see maybe the first, like you, I could see maybe about back to you, the first 10 or 15 rows. So I just go up and play the way I play guitar. I think the trick is not to overplay to so many people. You tend to sometimes play too much or too hard because you think they can't hear it. But you have to remember they can. There's microphones up there. And just to play the way you play.
Can you give us a hint of what you have in store for us tonight?
I'm going to do some songs off of my last record, Lonely Avenue, which I haven't played that much. We'll definitely do, I mean, we have quite a few hits, so we'll throw those in there, but also I break it down to a little rockabilly trio in the middle of the show, just three of us, and then finish with the whole big band.
It's Paula Samuel from Global ET Canada.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm just wondering, you're not only playing in front of 100,000 people, 200,000 people live, but you're also going to be going on the web and on Facebook. Is this something that you're doing more often now? It's an amazing progression in live music.
It is. It's kind of now the thing to do, you know. We're going to go out live on the internet, and we're going to film the show. And it seems to be the way to get the word out now, you know, being that we're in a new era. Some of it's left me by the wayside. I'm not up to the minute on it. But it seems to be the way to get bands and to get people to see you now.
Thank you. Christine Long from CTV.
Hi there, Brian. I saw you last year, a fantastic show inside Place des Arts. I don't know if the Jazz Festival people have let you know when they let you go outdoors, they sort of add another dimension. There's, you know, usually inflated soccer balls or acrobats or laser light shows and this sort of thing. Do they have surprises for you, and what do you think about this added element for an outdoor performance from you and your band?
I think it's good because I think the back row has to see you. You know, I'm a believer in you should be larger than life on stage because people out there don't see all the close-up things. They like some big gestures and they want you to perform. So I think to have these surprises like you're talking about, I know what it is, but I'd rather not say. But I think it's part of what makes, you know, the show the show.
And just quickly, Andre, last year you had Stevie Wonder. This year you have Brian Setzer. Have you set the bar high for yourself that every festival you have to start out with a real big number?
Obviously, we set the bar a bit high last year with Stevie Wonder, but in the case of Brian Setzer, since, like I said, it was an obsession for the last 15 years, since we missed out on the first shot at doing the main event, I could not be any happier than that this year. We'll see what we do next year. From year to year, we like to, you know, try and evolve and keep ourselves excited as much as we like the people to get excited about the festival. So we do them one by one, and normally we program every festival as if it was the last one. I think that's the best way to do it.
Thanks.
So, but this year, I think the whole program is hard to match, as far as I'm concerned. Tonight, there's an alignment of stars in this place that is quite amazing, but...
I think Andre's really a rockabilly cat.
among other things.
Next question is for Bernie Perouse from the Gazette.
Hi, Brian.
Hi.
18 members in the Brian Setzer Orchestra. What strikes me is that a lot of bands that size really have a lot of trouble rocking. It's hardly the problem with the Brian Setzer Orchestra. How does your band succeed where others have failed in that regard?
Most big bands really don't approach it from the guitar point of view, I think. And the guitar leads the orchestra, so it's going to rock because that's what I do. And a lot of it is within the chart writing as well. You know, we leave a lot of solos open. You might think playing in a big band is restrictive because they're reading music, but it's not, because we leave little clauses in the. I mean, it's as simple as me going like that. I want to go more. I want to play more. So I think it's the way you approach it.
And very quickly, you've talked before about how Eddie Cochran was a big influence on your life. How does his spirit still preside over what you do with the Brian Setzer Orchestra?
Eddie Cochran? He always seems to pop up at the weirdest moments for me. I don't know. It's hard to explain. He's my biggest inspiration. You know, when I saw a picture of Eddie Cochran, I said, wow, I don't know, I want to look like that guy. I wanted to just kind of, I thought he was the coolest thing. And then when I heard his music, it was like a double knockout punch. You know, I just thought, he's the guy. I want to pattern myself after this guy, Eddie Cochran. And so when I started, I really wanted to sound like him and look like him and evolve from there, I guess.
Thanks. A couple of more questions. Philippe Redzonico from Rue Frontenac.
Hello. After you created the Brian Setzer Orchestra, after 15 years now, more or so, do you find that the big band, you explore everything that you want to explore with it? Is it has shown some limitation here and there now?
No, I mean, if anything, it's not limited because there's so many musicians to make music with. It's unlimited. You can really, it's just as far as your imagination will let you write. To be able to write 18 horns, well, 18 pieces, 13 horns, and put, I mean, you could do anything. It still remains very exciting to me.
And maybe a second one, in 2004, if I'm correct, you did a major tour in Europe with the Stray Cats, but you didn't play any shows in North America. Do you have two publics now and then regarding that? Europe, United States?
Oh, I love the Stray Cats because the boys in the band are my brothers, you know. I mean, we grew up since we were 7 years old, you know. I would like to tour the States with them. We're just very, very popular in Europe. So it makes sense to go and play for a lot of people.
One last one, Marie-Christine Blais from La Presse.
If I'm not mistaken, you have a new album coming. Don't Mess with a Big Band coming in July. What will it be like? And it's a live album, I think?
We have a live record coming out, and it's live from Japan.
Okay.
And, you know, I used to have a different feeling about putting those records out because I'm from the day where you bought a record and you'd be at the record store. Is the record here yet? Next week. And then you'd go the next day and look at it. But now times have changed. Yeah. And I think these records will come out as poor quality bootlegs. So we think, well, why not just, you know, make them sound good? If people are going to buy them, at least get a good product. And, you know, you're not trying to sell millions of these records. You're just trying to put out something that sounds good in between your studio projects. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone.
All right.
André?
So tonight, the big rendezvous. For those of you who were afraid that the place might not be big enough, the show will also be relayed on St. Catherine Street on the stage at the corner there for the whole crowd in St. Catherine to watch it as well. So it will be terrific, no doubt, and we're looking forward for this evening.
I am too. I am too, sir. Thank you, guys. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for being here.